welcome to DevCast number 19. My name is Baraki, and you're still seeing the Unwanted War behind me. There has been a bit of a delay since the last DevCast. I've moved, I have gotten adjusted more to the new job. A lot of stuff happened. Past few weeks have been very stressful at work, so there was little progress, or at least less than I wanted. However, there have been big changes in the background, and as you can tell, this is being recorded while streaming on Twitch. The link for that will be in the description. Right, without further ado, we take a look at these vehicles. So I've mostly adjusted some of these vehicles in the contemporary era. We're looking at an Abrams, a Bradley, a Humvee, a Striker, and a Viper. I know it's a Viper, it says Apache here, that is outdated. And we have our enemies coming along, which is great, because that means we can move in our vehicles and just let them have a fight. The different vehicles, of course, attack with their respective weapons. These units really don't stand a fight. That is fine. This is, at the moment, mostly for social media, the damage that they do. So what we can do, we can just move the vehicles forward. And what you can tell is that these now, if I get a proper angle, now properly contour to the terrain, hopefully giving it a much nicer look. This is extremely obvious with the larger vehicles. So if you take a look at the Abrams, which properly moves down. The wheeled vehicles at the moment have a bit of an issue, so they don't properly move at the moment, which will be fixed soon, hopefully. But in the meantime, we can just take the Bradley and move it up here, while the Abrams... I don't actually know if the Abrams can take all them, but we will see. Moving back to the Viper, if we move that in, this has been improved, is still under improvement. The rocket attack isn't ideal at the moment, so we take that. The next part that you can tell is that usually the closest enemy is being targeted if it isn't already attacking a different unit. So you will be able to manipulate units for that and to sort of trick them. You can again see how the vehicle now contours nicely with the terrain. And on lovely slope like this, it just looks a lot better. Yeah, so basically the closest unit will get priority when a unit is done attacking something. It's not guaranteed, but it is set up to be that way. So if you control your units manually, you might be able to outplay your opponent. Also, there are some more defense vehicle, defense installations. These are now two rocket artillery, or rocket stations. I don't know why this one isn't attacking, but have a good shot range. Yeah, there we go. So, heavy missile battery and light missile battery. Just in general, they do fire off one of the rockets. Can show that here again. And then reloads the next one. So there's basically always one missing, as if it was actually expanding the ammunition. If we go to our defense walls, this has been improved. As you can tell, I can't afford all that many, so I will... right, I keep forgetting how expensive they are, so I'll just cheat a little bit to be able to place more of these. You can tell that by the blue color. Those ones I can afford. A lot of these defensive walls have been... make that stop. Have been adjusted to properly rotate, and now when I place them, you can see that all these... I'm gonna pause this. All these health bars are now rotated the same way, but only when the camera is running, to make it a bit more concise. Before they were all looking at the camera directly, which just didn't look all that great in general. If we get ourselves another unit and a little bit more money, this was the wrong unit. I just spawned a grenadier, even though I wanted a contractor to build us some stuff. How about we go with another copter hangar? Now, if I'm holding Control and E, I can now rotate the building before placing it. It is still active at the moment, that when you place it, you can still drag it around to rotate it. I might change this. I'm not 100% set on this as a system. I much prefer the rotation with Q&E, control Q&E, because normal Q&E rotates the camera, which in the other circumstance you could see actually also rotates the blueprint, which is very confusing for me at the moment. So this mostly is still underway. I might have to change a few things about it. As you can tell, if I hold it somewhere in the middle of the screen, it sort of rotates, but only because the camera rotates, and if I hold Control and E and Control E and Q, it now rotates only the blueprint, which I think is the way to go for this. Right. That is, in general, it at the moment. So how about we just send all this over here and see what happens. I mean, the helicopter, of course, gets there much faster. And if you tell it to attack, you can tell it also tilts down very nicely when attacking. The sounds and effects aren't finalized for the moment. I will make that stop, and we will wait for the other vehicles that are now emerging from the water, which now looks so much better because they now contour. This isn't realistic, of course, but you know, potato. And yeah, there's always little explosions for the Striker and the Bradley when they do attack. And that is it. We just won the game. And with that lovely win out of the way, I thank you very much for watching this DevCast, and I will see you next time.